If you think you know what's coming, stick around, because this one surprised even me. Hit subscribe before we start, and don't go anywhere until the very end. The house felt different when it was just mine. Not lonely, different. Like I could finally hear myself think without the noise of 3 other people filling every corner. My name is Daniel Marsh. I was 36, ran operations at a riverfront event hall in Columbia, South Carolina, and that particular Friday night I was sitting at the kitchen table with cold lo mein and an invoice spreadsheet, and it felt like a vacation. Tessa had packed up the kids, Gavin was 8, Nora was 5, and driven them out to Lake Murray for the weekend. Her idea. She said the kids needed water and sun. I said fine and meant it. I ate past midnight, finished 3 weeks of backlogged billing, and watched something on TV without anyone asking me to change it. It was the kind of quiet that made me feel guilty for enjoying it. Saturday afternoon, my neighbor Devin knocked and showed me something that killed the mood. He had just mounted a 4-camera system on his porch and eaves, pointing it at the street and both driveways. 3 porch thefts in 6 weeks, he said. My wife won't stop until everything's covered. Then he mentioned something almost as an afterthought. A dark pickup, late model, could have been a Ram or a Tundra, had been rolling slow down our street on weekday mornings. Not delivering anything, not stopping anywhere obvious, just cruising, turning around, coming back. I nodded like it was mild news, but something about the way Devin said it, low and careful, like he had already connected a dot he didn't want to say out loud, that got under my skin. Before you keep listening, share in the comments which country you're watching from, and let's continue. I drove to Home Depot that same afternoon and bought a 4-camera kit rated for outdoor use. I wired the front porch, the side gate, the driveway, and the back door myself. I set up the app, tested every angle, and had it running before Tessa's headlights turned into the driveway Sunday night. She kissed my cheek and asked if I'd eaten. I said yes and carried Nora inside without mentioning one camera. For 11 days after the lake trip, the footage showed nothing but mail carriers and a stray cat. Tessa made dinner 4 times that week, asked me twice about an upcoming land sale we'd been discussing, 40 acres I'd inherited from my uncle outside Newberry, and life moved at its usual pace. I almost forgot the cameras were running. Then on a Tuesday I checked the app from my office between 2 vendor calls. The timestamp read 10:47 that morning. A man I had never seen walked up to my front door, punched numbers into the keypad, and let himself in like he'd done it 100 times. I sat at my desk and did not move for about 30 seconds. He was lean, maybe 6 feet, somewhere in his mid-30s. He wore a gray Henley and moved without hurry. The kitchen camera picked him up opening the refrigerator, then standing at the bar counter with his hand flat on the granite like he was measuring something. He stayed 41 minutes and left 6 minutes before the school bus would have turned onto our street. That night I watched Tessa load the dishwasher and talk about whether Gavin needed new cleats. She kissed my cheek when I said goodnight. She did not mention any repairman, any contractor, any delivery, any person of any kind having been at the house. I lay in the dark and thought about how our keypad code had not changed in 3 years. 2 mornings later, the same man came back. This time he paused at the front door camera before punching the code. He looked directly into the lens and smiled. Not a confused smile, not a wave. A slow, deliberate smile, like he was saying hello to someone he already knew. I closed the app and stared at my desk. My jaw was tight. He knew the camera was there, and he came back anyway. That same afternoon I ordered 2 smaller cameras, low-profile units, the kind that blend into shelves and vents. I mounted one inside the den bookcase between 2 thick hardcovers, angled toward the room. The other I fitted into the hallway vent above the guest room door. I wore gloves, worked fast, and told Tessa I had been doing some organizing when she got home. She said, "You cleaned?" I'm impressed, and went upstairs to start dinner. I said nothing. For 6 mornings I watched normal footage. Grocery bags on the counter, Tessa folding laundry while talking on her phone with her back to the wall, Nora's lunch being packed. The kind of footage that almost made me feel stupid for watching. On the 7th morning, the keypad beeped at 10:50. He walked in, and this time Tessa was already in the kitchen waiting. She smiled when she saw him. Not a polite smile, a smile that landed in her whole face, the kind she used to aim at me when we first started dating. She led him down the hallway toward the guest room without looking nervous, without checking the windows, without hesitating. The bookshelf camera didn't reach the guest room, and the vent angle was limited. I never saw anything explicit, but I saw her face going soft the way it did when she felt completely safe, and I understood what that meant. He left at 12:30. I watched Tessa strip the guest bed with calm, practiced hands. She sprayed linen mist on the pillowcases, folded the sheets, and started a wash cycle. Then she stood at the kitchen counter, looked down at her phone, and slid it under a dish towel like a reflex. 2 days later, I added a small audio camera inside the guest room smoke detector. It was the kind of thing I told myself I probably wouldn't need. I needed it. I also mounted a compact unit above the garage side door, aimed at the driveway approach, because I realized I had no clean timestamp footage of his truck. 4 days after that, at 11:09 on a Thursday, he came back. I played the audio that night with earbuds in, sitting in my truck in the work parking lot after my last walkthrough. The file was 43 minutes long. I heard his name for the first time. Brant. Tessa used it naturally, the way you say someone's name when you've said it many times. I heard her laugh, a real easy laugh, and say, "Daniel's so predictable, he's not going anywhere." I sat with that sentence for a while. Then it got worse. I heard them talk about a condo, a deposit, a 2-bedroom near 5 Points that Brant was holding with, as Tessa put it, the refund money, our federal tax refund. $4,200 we had filed jointly in March. She said my spring bonus would cover the rest of what they needed, and that she wanted to move before summer if possible. She mentioned land papers, my uncle's 40 acres, and said Brant just needed to be patient because she was working on it. I heard Tessa's sister Denise mentioned twice. Once when Tessa said Denise had taken the kids the previous 2 Tuesdays because she had asked her to. Once when Brant called Denise solid, and Tessa said she'd do anything for me. I sat in that parking lot until it was full dark. I had the audio on my phone, back to my laptop, and uploaded to a cloud drive. 3 copies. I was not panicking. I was thinking about what kind of move you make when someone has already made theirs. The next morning I went to Devin before work. I told him what I had found on the cameras. The man, the visits, the timing. I left the audio out of it. Devin went quiet, then said he had seen a dark truck, a Tundra turned out, parked half a block down at least 4 times in the past 3 weeks, always on weekday mornings, always gone by early afternoon. He had not said anything because he hadn't wanted to be wrong. I called Miles Garrett that same day. Miles and I went back to college, and for the past 6 years he had run a small investigations firm out of Greenville. I told him what I needed, street-level footage and a written log of arrivals and departures at my address. He said he could start Thursday. Wednesday morning I drove to my bank's main branch and moved $18,400 from our joint savings into a new individual account I opened that day. I also called the home equity lender and told them to pause our application until further notice. The rep sounded confused. I thanked her anyway. Miles set up Thursday. At 10:58 that morning, his footage caught Brant's dark Tundra parking 2 houses down. Miles logged him walking to my front door at 11:18. He logged him leaving at 12:43, grinning, hands in his pockets. Miles sent me the file by 4 o'clock. That evening, Tessa made chicken and rice and asked me across the dinner table, casual as anything, whether I still planned to list the Newberry land in April. I told her I hadn't decided yet. She nodded and passed Gavin the rolls, and I watched her face for any sign that she heard the flatness in my voice. There wasn't one. Sunday, I sent Tessa's brother Cole a text asking him to come over for a money conversation, family only. I told Tessa I wanted to get everyone on the same page about the land. She seemed relaxed about it. She even texted Denise herself to make sure she came. They showed up at 2. Tessa made coffee. Denise set her bag on the counter and smiled at me the way people smile when they think they're about to sit through something boring. Cole stood near the door and looked mildly impatient. I pulled up Miles's street footage first on the living room TV. No one said anything for a moment. "That's a neighbor's truck," Tessa said. Her voice was steady. "That doesn't mean anything." I switched to the den bookcase clip. Brant walking in through the front door, Tessa's face when she saw him. Denise went pale. Then I played the guest room audio, not all of it, just the part where Tessa used my name alongside the word predictable, and the part where the tax refund and the condo deposit came up, and the part where Denise got called solid for covering the kids' sleepovers. Denise said, "Tessa, what is this?" And it wasn't a question. Tessa started talking about my hours, my distance, how she had felt alone for years. Cole cut her off. Why, Cole said, is our tax refund sitting in somebody else's condo deposit? That's what I want to hear. I told them my attorney already had every file, the footage, the audio, the bank records, and Miles's sworn statement logging Brant's arrival and departure that Thursday morning. I told them the land sale was not happening. I told them the home equity line had been paused. Tessa looked at me for the first time like she understood there was nothing left to explain away. I handed Tessa the separation papers that evening before anyone left the house. I told her to stay with Denise for the time being, and I told her to take her time but not too much of it. She stood in the kitchen holding the envelope, and for a few seconds, she looked like she might say something that mattered. She didn't. She picked up her bag, said goodnight to the kids, and walked out. My attorney filed within the week. She moved fast on the condo deposit, $6,200, traced directly from our joint account through 2 transfers. The judge didn't love that. We also got an emergency block on any property transfer involving the Newberry land, which meant Brant's plan, whatever exactly it had been, was finished before it started. I heard through Cole that Brant stopped returning Tessa's calls somewhere around the time his name appeared in the court filings. Once his name was tied to the case, whatever future Tessa had been selling him no longer looked worth the risk. He vanished without explanation and left her to deal with the consequences on her own. Mediation took 3 sessions. I kept the house through the following summer. I kept the school week schedule so Gavin and Nora stayed in their same rooms, their same school, their same routine. I was not interested in making the whole thing uglier than it already was. I was interested in them having something stable to come home to. That was 6 months ago. On Saturday mornings now, I run Gavin's rec soccer team on a patchy field off Hardin Street. He's not fast, but he's coachable, and I like that about him. Nora wants pancakes every Sunday and has strong opinions about the syrup-to-butter ratio, and I've learned to let her supervise. The house is quieter than it used to be, but it's a different kind of quiet than the one that started all this. This one I don't feel guilty about. The cameras are still up. I check the app maybe once a week now, mostly out of habit. The footage is always the same. Mail carrier, stray cat, Devin waving from his driveway. Nothing worth saving. But I leave them running anyway, because I learned something that year that I'm not in a hurry to unlearn. A camera doesn't change what happened. It only captures what people thought no one would notice. Was Tessa counting on Daniel being too trusting or too busy to ever look? Drop your answer in the comments. If this story hit, push hype button, leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.